event last week, what's ahead for the war on Syria, was a very successful event. Some of the speakers were Eva Bartlett, who's an independent journalist, Dr. Rias Moussa of the Syrian American Forum, Margaret Kimberly from Black Agenda Report, and Sarah Flounders from IAC, Workers' World Party. They were discussing the situation in Syria, the developments in the imperialist destabilization campaign against that country that's been going on for about 5 years now. And this event was significant in that, besides the content, it was significant in that it was the first event of a number of events on Syria which are going to be taking place in 10 cities throughout the country. And me and a couple other people, we were doing security at that event because we're actually concerned. There's a number of people who consider themselves leftists who they call these events pro-Assad apologist events or whatever nonsense they come up with. And we were concerned they're going to try and disrupt it. They had disrupted some previous events, but they seemed like they weren't bold enough to come up to the event that night. But this event was held by a new coalition, Hands Off Syria Coalition, and I have it on me. No. Basically, the goal of this coalition is to not only have events and raise awareness, which is extremely important, raise awareness on the situation in Syria, because of all of the media disinformation, media propaganda lies, which are most likely, I haven't seen it yet, but it most likely will increase due to the advances that have been going on in Aleppo against the imperialist-backed mercenaries there. But on top of that, the goal of this coalition is to call for an end of the U.S. NATO regime change move against the Syrian government. This has been going on from the very beginning. There's a myth that the media promotes and certain propagandists promote, which is that this is a movement for democracy or a revolution. Many people have the audacity to go so far as to call it that. But we know from the very beginning, even before 2011, this was planned by the United States and its allies, this destabilization campaign. These plans went back all the way to 2006. From the very beginning, these terrorist groups are being armed and funded by the U.S. and U.S. proxies in the region. So we know what it is. This war needs to end. This regime change campaign is the root of all of the destruction in Syria going on. So we call for the end of the U.S. regime change effort, an end to all military and financial aid to the mercenary forces there, so-called moderate rebels, who work hand in hand with ISIS and Al-Qaeda, very moderate. And the end of all foreign aggression against Syria. And the key point being that the people of Syria have the right to determine their own government. And in a situation where there are outside powers, they're intervening in Syria illegally against the will of the Syrian people, you can't have any kind of move for political change of any substance. We've seen this in Libya a few years ago, where they talked about the Libyan revolution, so-called, fighting for democracy. And now what's going on in Libya today? It's not even a country, really. It's factions fighting for power. And if you compare that to what Libya was before, the most prosperous country in Africa, a country that had achieved tremendous things in literacy, healthcare, education, just culture in general, women's equality. and support for integrating the continent of Africa was destroyed. Just like similar to Syria, Syria is an independent country, and that's why it's really the target of this NATO-US regime change effort. And regardless of whatever nice rhetoric they use about democracy or popular revolution, NATO-armed, CIA-armed, Israeli, Saudi-armed, popular revolution, we know what their goal is. It's the destruction of that society, and we say, hands off Syria. Thank you.